This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There he is. All right. How you feeling, Are you feeling good?
I am doing good, Big O. It's funny because I just got done with Michelle Kaufman talking about the InterMiami and their cup tournament schedules, and now the NBA is trying to emulate a cup. Not really soccer style, but I mean, it's really interesting. If you see, like Michelle said, Messi lift a cup in front of all those pink jerseys together, it'll be meaningful. If you see Jimmy Butler lifting the NBA in-season cup, well, you probably wouldn't see it because they'll probably sit out the game anyway. And it's just trying to create something that's not real. Like my reader said, hey, if you were inviting the world's greatest teams to play in a cup format, if you were having this in the summer, then maybe all-stars, maybe some NBA teams against the best players from these different countries of the World Cup, hey, that would be fun. But soccer's cups, the Lamar Hunt Cup that's coming up, like Michelle Kaufman mentioned, where every team in the U.S. from any division, including in down to Miami and the other teams get a chance. You can't create in soccer, recreate in basketball. It's a different culture. We have playoffs. The thing I love, Big O, about soccer is there are no playoffs. In Europe, you finish at the top of the table for what you've done for 7 months. Manchester City is it. They don't go to the playoffs and, will they be eliminated? The NBA is a different culture. You and I will talk in October, November, December, but we really talk in April, May, and June because we know what matters, and that's the difference. This cup thing is all great and, and dandy, but honestly, when they tell me, hey, they're playing the Wizards in the first cup game, I'm going to go, yeah, it's a November game in Washington. Let's not overstate this.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of this idea from the get-go, and I really don't care about it now. It just does nothing for me whatsoever because you nailed it. It's a completely different culture.
Correct.
And while you're playing your regular season in the MLS, okay, the League's Cup is not the same. You're playing against the Mexican League. So it's the U.S. against the Mexican League, so it's a different cup. And then the U.S. Open Cup is like the FA Cup, which you know about, but maybe the average person doesn't know. The FA Cup in England is all the teams, Division 1, 2, 3, everybody, Premiership, everybody's in there, just like here. Here if it's the USL, NASL, whatever leagues exist in this MPSL, along with the MLS, everybody plays. You know what I mean? So it's a completely different tournament. In basketball, it doesn't carry. It just doesn't. It's like what you said. It has to be some kind of an international tournament, and it's not that. So it's not really going to be attractive, to most of us. What we are all dying to find out is what the hell is going to happen with the Damian Lillard situation. So what's the latest here? When will these talks actually start and Portland will realize we need to unload this guy already and move on?
Well, I think it's interesting because sometimes things happen around something that impacts something that's not happening. The Philadelphia situation right now with James Harden. One, it heightens the degree of how much can a player demand where he wants to land and how it plays out. So, Big O, I think the Heat and the Blazers are looking to see what happens with James Harden and how that plays out. Does that create interest? Does an ultimatum from a team, we're not trading this guy, we're a player saying that the GM is a liar, does that force his way out? And don't kid yourself. Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg, Joe Cronin, Damian Lillard, they're all trying to see how this plays out. Plus, Philadelphia is now a player, at least ancillary, in the Lillard thing because, hey, maybe they try to do a multiplayer deal. They've got to do something for Joel Embiid to keep him happy. All they have done is made horrible deals, keeping Simmons over Jimmy Butler, trading for James Harden, who then walks around, scores 6 points in their elimination Game 7 in the Eastern Conference semifinals. So I think it's really interesting because the Harden thing now becomes a factor. Not that Portland's taking them. We're talking multi-team trades. Or else, this is interesting, Big O. I'm going to throw this at you, and obviously your listeners can check it on the chat board also. If I told you the Heat had the option now of trading for one of these two players, matter of fact, I'm going to give you all three, and I'll let you put them in order, okay, Big O? If the Heat have the option of trading for Damian Lillard, James Harden, or Joel Embiid, how would you rank that, honestly, on your wish list if you were Pat Riley, those three players, and then I'll give you mine.
Well, I don't want James Harden at all.
Okay, I agree. He's number 3, and honestly, number 30 and number 300 and number 3,000. I agree with that.
I wouldn't trade a turd for him. Wow, you fucked me up here.
Well, there's going to be a part B to this, so just tell me your names in order.
My problem is the Damian Lillard window is only a year or two. The Joel Embiid window can be 5, 6, 8 years for me now. And so all I have to do is find another shooter is what I need now, because I'm going to have an impactful defensive player in the paint. Actually, I'm going to have to teach Bam how to fucking shoot a 3 finally. Dude, I'm going Joel Embiid.
Okay, but here's the deal.
My window is bigger, and I think if I bring in Embiid, I can go find another shooter somewhere, because that's what I need with Lillard. I need points. I need scoring, but I'm going to get scoring with Embiid. I'm going to get some 3-point scoring from Embiid, but I need another shooter with him. I'm going to go Embiid. It would be the guy that I would make the move for. Yes.
And now I want our listeners, those who've been here every week and sometimes twice a week in our Acura Pembroke Pines report, know how Big O feels about Bam Adebayo as a glorified role player. I think that's your exact phrasing, if I'm correct.
He's a super role player is what I call him.
Super role player. Okay. But I think Bam would have to be included in the Joel Embiid trade, simply position for position and that.
Okay.
Big O, I know you're going to think I'm bananas here, but there's different thoughts on Bam from the way you look at him. I have been told there are people within the Heat organization who would not trade Bam Adebayo for Joel Embiid for reasons of Joel Embiid in the playoffs has never gotten beyond the conference semifinals. Whether it's his fault or not, that's the truth. Joel Embiid gets hurt and misses a lot of games also. So what I'm saying is, even then, there could be some consternation. But I think what's interesting here is, like you talked about, the process and all the BS in Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is impacting the Lillard situation because people want to know, there are mega names out there in Philadelphia. How's that going to play out? Would Philadelphia trade, if they offer Tyrese Maxey, all of a sudden the calculus changed for the Blazers? I think you'd agree with that. Whether you think Maxey or Hero or better, there's more quality names in there. All the Blazers want is a trade partner, if only for the BS of this. Hey, we know we can get Tyler Hero from you Miami Heat, but now we can get Tyrese Maxey from the Philadelphia 76ers. We think they can offer us 3 first-round picks. Are you still willing to do that? Then you're creating this bargaining chip, which we haven't had. So I think James Harden going off the way he did, and I totally agree with you, Big O, and I wrote this at AskIra@sunsentinel.com. I think that would be a terrible move for the Heat to move toward James Harden with all that's going on. But let me ask you this, Big O. You have followed the Heat since day one. You've been in the locker room when they've won championships and gotten champagne sprayed on you. But you know Pat Riley, he thinks big. We all know that. I don't know if you watched Winning Time this week on HBO. When he was with the Lakers, he was pushing Paul Westhead to trade for David Thompson. That's who he is. Would you be shocked, Big O, if you hear that Pat Riley is at least considering James Harden, knowing that Pat Riley is a star effer?
Yeah, I would, because because after the Dion Waiters stuff and Whiteside and other knuckleheads, the Todd Days you had to deal with over the years, this is just another one of those guys. He just doesn't take winning seriously, and you're an organization that's all you think about, is all you take seriously is winning. I don't think he fits your DNA. I don't think he's wired. And brother, you know what even scares me even more? His agent trying to scream to the top of the hills, he's going to be in the greatest shape of his life, and he's going to have an MVP season, and my nose is growing as we speak. I mean, there are things that scare the shit out of me with James Harden.
He is more talented than Dion Waiters. He is more talented than Todd Day. He is more talented than Whiteside.
I get it, but he's still a head case over all those guys, and he's on the decline. He's a head case on the decline. No. I would be very disappointed in Pat Riley if he brought James Harden in. If he's thinking about it, I would maybe run over to Miami and see if I could actually, check his temperature or something. I mean, something's wrong with him. No, there's
Well, okay,
no way.
I just gave you one question. You and I disagreed whether you trade Bam for Embiid, and I respect that. Let me ask you
Yeah,
this.
I would trade Bam for Embiid. I mean, yeah, I get
Okay.
that one. That one I understand, and I understand thinking
Would you
about
trade?
now, wait a minute. The choking
Okay.
stuff, wasn't Dirk Nowitzki that too until he got the damn title? Didn't we do the same shit to Dirk Nowitzki and say,
Reasonable.
oh, he's not good enough. He doesn't get over. Well, maybe he didn't have the team around him. And maybe Joel hasn't had the team around him either. It's hard for me to label him a choker when I've seen so much dysfunction around him. That's all I'm
But
saying.
Dirk got to the finals in 2006. He got to the finals. To me, Big O, this I think is just a fascinating statistic that is a reality. Joel Embiid has never gotten past the second round of the playoffs. You have seen some bad teams get past the second round. We saw LeBron's initial Cleveland team make it to the finals against the Spurs. They were pretty awful. We've seen Atlanta Hawks. You remember that team? They had the 5 All-Stars with Horford and then Kyle Korver. That was a nothing team. They got to the conference finals. Joel Embiid still hasn't. Dirk Nowitzki, look, no matter what happened in 2006, he at least got there when the Heat beat them in the finals. So although we waited for 2011, he at least got to that level. So my question to you is this. You'll make the money work somehow. You'll make picks work somehow. I want you to think about this one because some of my readers have said, no, hell no. Would you trade Tyler Hero for James Harden? Would you trade Tyler Hero for James Harden?
No.
See, that's interesting.
No, because I'm stuck with James Harden. I'm stuck with his salary. He's old. It's the end of his run. I can still unload Tyler for a pick, or I can use him
as
to
a
move.
chip. Yes.
I see my one of the bigger problems that Pat Riley has created for himself over the last few years is he's given away all his trade chips, and he doesn't have a lot of stuff to maneuver with. And I think that if you do that with Harden, I don't think you end up winning with Harden, and you ended up giving up a chip that could help you get a Damian Lillard. And so I need that chip to be part of the Damian Lillard trade more than I need it to be part of anything that has to be tied to James Harden.
And I agree also. So what I'm saying is I think the league still has to process this Harden stuff that came out of nowhere and came from China, for a little while now before they move back to Dame. I think Harden, if not a monkey wrench into this, at least has the league stepping back and going, oh, there's another superstar who's on the market. There's another team like the 76ers who are desperate because Daryl Morey has a lot of BS and he has a lot of friends who put out the rumors for him and try to take care of him because he talks to certain media types. But you know what? That feeling, matter of fact, right now, I'll ask you this, Big O. We know the Heat didn't have a great regular season. We know that. We know coming into this season, you and I are talking about that the Bucks are still going to be a great team that you're going to have to play against. That the Celtics with the Porzingis deal are going to be a great team in the East. What about the 76ers? Who's better? Whose chances do you like better right now, knowing what you know? The Heat or the 76ers, maybe when it comes to third or fourth best in the East?
Oh, no, I'm going with the Heat every single time because they're the better franchise and the better coach. Yeah.
So,
of course.
Philly, this is Philly's window. This is Philly's the process for 97 years. Then they get rid of Sam Hinkie. Then the great Daryl Morey, who hasn't won anything.
Have a window? Is their window open? I don't think they're a championship team.
That's the question.
Yeah, no, I don't think their window's open at all. I don't consider them a championship caliber team at all. They have to make moves to become a championship caliber team. Once you have James Harden, you're no longer a championship caliber team.
It's crazy. Do you think Joel Embiid has the right to start acting out now also like Lillard and Harden did? Do you think he's reached a point where, hey, I've done it, but I'm just stuck here in this zoo, in this carnival, in this circus right now? So again, it's interesting. We didn't rip Dame because Dame gave his heart and soul to the Trailblazers with his longest tenured teammate being Myers Leonard. So they traded McCollum. They did what they could. They couldn't get him anywhere. His team is never going to be more than a second-tier playoff team.
Everybody understands what Damian Lillard has been through, and we've watched it, and we've watched Portland that they are incompetent and can't build a champion around him. They've had their chance, and that's it.
And maybe Joel Embiid has reached that point also where he should have the right to go somewhere that's not a carnival and a circus. And if Embiid comes on the market, holy crap. I mean, you talk about NBA in August, it's going to be a free-for-all out there.
Now he'll get some criticism. Why? Because Embiid has always been a guy that's been in the media, joking around, taking shots at people, and so he's
Correct.
his share. So he'll take some heat, but I think overall we've all seen that like I just said earlier, it's a dysfunctional place. So I'm not going to blame him for all the dysfunction because he's not really in charge in the end. Just like it was unfair for us to call Dirk a choker until he won the title when he was a great player. He just never really had the right pieces around him to actually win it. I mean, you and I are old enough to remember that Michael Jordan used to score 60, but he could also lose by 30 in the Garden by scoring 60. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Michael was killing himself, but you weren't going to win with Orlando Woolridge and Rory Sparrow around you, dude. I'm sorry. It's just not in the cards. And so, that's why I kind of look at it that way. So, yeah, he'll get some heat, but I think overall we'll kind of look at Joel Embiid and say, yeah, dude, get the hell out of there. That Morey guy is not going to figure it out. He's in love with James.
I mean, you think of so many names that have gone through Philadelphia, including what they did with Ben Simmons, including how they traded the draft pick that turned into Jason Tatum for what they did there for Markelle Fultz. I mean, I know, Daryl Morey can say
over Butler.
Yeah.
You decided Tobias over Butler. That ruined your franchise right there because that's the guy that would have set the table inside that locker room, and he wouldn't have allowed people to do anything out there. He would have given everybody their shit. He would have busted balls in that locker room. They don't have a ball buster in that locker room. That's why you kind of need a UD. You need a Jimmy Butler. You need an Alonzo Mourning. You need those kind of people set the tone inside your locker room, and they don't have that leader. That's why your franchise is what it is, because this is what you did.
And James Harden isn't a leader. Damian Lillard is a leader. So that's another difference when you and I are weighing the two. Damian Lillard has been a leader, but now he said, you know what? I'm old enough. I don't want to be the leader for the next group here. You guys move forward. God bless you. Now it's my turn. That's the difference. He's the leader that James Harden has never been. James Harden has looked for the exit door 4 or 5 times now. Damian Lillard, for the first time, said, hey, I put up with everything. Now's me time. And you can't disagree with that.
All right, one more thing before I let you go. The Wade speech, man, it was fantastic. I think it was kind of crafted by his wife, and their PR department kind of helped him put it all together. But he did a marvelous job of delivering it. The stuff with his dad at the end was tear-jerking as it gets, and obviously he's been through so much to get to where he's at. And when he was young, dealing with his mom and dad and all the issues and all that, that for him to come full circle where, life is normal now for mom, dad, and him, I think it's pretty cool for that moment. But it was awesome, man. It was he did a really nice job with
he hit the right points. And Big O, you remember him from the day he arrived to how well spoken he is now. You've really seen the maturity not only on the court but off the court. Some people have said to me, "Hey, Ira, he didn't mention Mickey Harrison. He only briefly mentioned Pat Riley." Big O, Dwayne Wade recognized from the get-go this is a league about players. So he made his speech about players. He had Carmelo stand up. He had Chris Paul stand up. He understood that his journey, that this, as you know, is a players' league, and that was his focus. So please, people, don't overstate the no Mickey. Don't overstate not mentioning Pat except one time. He knew that this is a players' league, that the Hall of Fame is mostly about the players, and he made it about that. And yes, I thought it was as professional a speech, maybe a little bit of read off the, the telestrator a little, and I understand that because you wanted to get it right, so I understand that. But mostly, I think it was just the fact that he understood what he needed to do. He was the perfect closing act for a 3.5-hour ceremony.
And by the way, what are we going to kid ourselves? We know that relationship is fractured. It is what it is. It happened. And you know what, man? People get divorces and they don't get along after. People get divorces and kind of get along and kind of deal with each other. And I think that's kind of, where we're at, unfortunately. And it was, we all make mistakes in life, man.
Right.
And maybe the Heat that day made a mistake in going Whiteside instead of Wade. And and it's fractured the relationship, unfortunately. But I mean, don't act surprised that it wasn't this big love fest.
No, and what I like, by the way, I meant teleprompter there instead of telestrator. Yeah, and one other thing I want to point out is I love the fact that Udonis Haslem and Bam Adebayo were there because you could see the passing of the torch from Dwayne to UD to Bam wanting to be there. Bam was holding up Dwayne's trophy for making the Hall of Fame as if I want to get one of these too. It's nice to see that. The one thing I liked about the Heat's representation there, even without LeBron there, you could see that there's still a familial approach there, and you saw players from all the different generations. And hell, Dwayne gave a shout out to Mario freaking Chalmers. I thought that was wonderful. Yeah.
I thought that was actually really cool. And then obviously seeing all the Heat people there too, because a lot of them also had a big part in it and were close to Wade throughout. So it was a cool moment and one that Wade deserves. And that's the most important part too, that he got what he deserves, and where he belongs in the Hall of Fame. One of the greatest two guards to ever freaking play the game, and he played in a Heat uniform, which is just absolutely sweet. All right, what do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Couple of things. Tomorrow, the full schedule comes out. We'll take a look at that, and we'll start to consider, do the Heat even care about the regular season after being a playing team and making it to the finals? So I'm going to sort of look at the games. I'm saying, is there anything here to really motivate the Heat? We know we started our Acura Pembroke Pines report talking about the tournament. That will motivate them. But I'm just wondering if there might be certain games they get up for a little bit more. And then I'm going to write my Sunday column on the Heat have traded away most of their draft assets, but they've never traded away full drafts going forward. Is that something for the first time they would do with Damian Lillard? Is that something they should do? Or should they hold back to keep assets going forward? So I'm going to work on that for Sunday Sun Sentinel as well.
Hold back, Heat. You're not negotiating against anyone. You got him by the balls, baby. Bring Damian Lillard to Miami. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and subscribe like I do to the South Florida Sun Sentinel and support our local journalists. Ira, as always, thank you. We will catch up next week, my friend.
Catch you next time in our Acura Pembroke Pines report. Thanks, Big O.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report.